The first thing I remember is the sound of boots. Not shouting, not gunfire. Boots, heavy, measured, unfamiliar. They did not belong to our house. I was 8 years old when my mother lifted the loose board beneath the kitchen table and told me to climb inside. She did not explain. She did not need to. The war had already explained enough. The floorboards had always creaked when my father walked across them. I knew every sound they made. But that afternoon, the creaking was different. It trembled. It carried weight that did not belong to us. My mother's hands were steady when she pried the wood up. That frightened me more than if she had been shaking. "Quiet," she whispered. "Not, don't be afraid. Just quiet." I slid into the darkness beneath the house. The space was narrow, thick with dust and the smell of earth. The ground was cold. There were old jars stored there once before food became scarce. Now there was only shadow. She lowered the board back into place. The light disappeared. I heard her footsteps move away from the table. Then the knocking started. 3 strikes, hard enough to rattle the dishes in the cupboard. I pressed my palms against the dirt above my head as if I could hold the house together. The door opened. Voices entered. Sharp consonants. Foreign syllables. A tone that did not ask permission. I could not understand the words, but I understood the power behind them. Boots stepped inside. They moved slowly at first, as if the house were a place to examine. A place to measure. A place to suspect. The boards above me groaned. Dust fell into my hair. Someone kicked a chair. It scraped violently across the floor. A cupboard door slammed open. Plates shattered. I bit the inside of my cheek to stop myself from breathing too loudly. My heart beat so hard I thought the sound alone would betray me. Above me, my mother answered questions. Her voice was calm. Too calm. The same tone she used when telling me bedtime stories during air raids. There is something about fear when you are a child. It does not arrive as a thought. It arrives as a feeling in your bones. I understood that if they found me, something irreversible would happen. Boots stopped directly above the loose board. I froze. The silence stretched. One of them shifted his weight. The wood pressed down slightly, closer to my face. I closed my eyes. I imagined becoming smaller, thinner, invisible. A second pair of boots approached. A murmur, a pause, then they moved away. Air returned to my lungs in a rush so loud I was sure they would hear it. But they did not. Instead, drawers were pulled open. Fabric ripped. Something heavy fell. My mother did not scream. She did not beg. Her voice remained steady. That steadiness became my anchor in the dark. Minutes felt like hours. Or perhaps it was hours. Time dissolved under the floor. Eventually, the boots retreated toward the door. One final crash. Then silence. Not the safe kind. The listening kind. I did not move until I heard the door close. Even then, I waited. The house made small settling sounds, as if exhaling. Then I heard her steps approach the table. The board lifted. Light poured in. Her face hovered above me. Pale, composed, dust clung to her hair. "It's all right," she said softly. But it wasn't. The house looked smaller when I crawled out. Chairs overturned. Dishes broken. Drawers hanging open like wounds. She knelt and pulled me close. Her heart was racing. She had been afraid too. After that day, the space beneath the floorboards became part of my world. Not as storage, not as a hiding place, but as a second home. Whenever trucks passed too slowly outside, she would glance at me. No words needed. I would lift the board myself. Sometimes I stayed down there for minutes, sometimes for hours. The darkness began to feel familiar. I memorized the shape of the beams, the smell of damp earth, the way dust floated in thin lines of light when the board shifted. I learned how to breathe quietly. I learned how to wait. Waiting became a skill. The war outside did not need to be seen. It announced itself in distant explosions, in smoke rising beyond the trees, in neighbors who stopped opening their doors. One evening, the Boots returned. This time they did not knock first. The door burst open. My mother did not hesitate. She pulled the board up before the first voice shouted. I slid into the darkness faster than before. The board closed. Boots flooded the room. This time they were angrier. Faster. Furniture splintered. Glass shattered. I pressed my forehead into the dirt. Above me, someone shouted a name I did not recognize. My mother answered calmly again. Too calmly. There was a loud crack, a sound I had never heard inside our house before. Then silence. A different kind of silence. The Boots moved again. Closer, slower. One stopped directly above me. The weight pressed down harder this time. A hand scraped across the floor. Searching, the board shifted slightly. A thin line of light pierced the darkness, inches from my face. I did not breathe. Not in, not out. The light lingered, then withdrew. A voice barked something sharp. The Boots moved away. The door slammed. The house trembled. I waited. I waited until my lungs burned. Until the dust in my throat tasted like metal. Until I heard nothing at all. Finally, the board lifted. But it was not my mother's hands. It was our neighbor. Her eyes were red. She told me where you were, the woman whispered. I climbed out slowly. My mother lay near the doorway. Still, too still. The crack I had heard had not been wood. It had been something else. Children are not meant to understand death in a single afternoon. But I did. The floorboards remained loose for the rest of the war. The neighbor kept me. The house was eventually abandoned. But sometimes at night I could still feel the earth beneath me. Still hear Boots above me. Still taste dust in the air. Years passed. The war ended. Cities rebelled. Flags changed. But I never stopped listening for Boots. Even now, when someone walks heavily across a wooden floor, something inside me tightens. Dark spaces do not frighten me. Open doors do. Because I learned early that safety was not in light. It was beneath it, under the floorboards, where silence was survival. I was 8 years old when I learned how to disappear. And part of me never fully came back.